Okay, welcome to our webinar. Well, this is information about the pre-release of the application. The application will be released on October 1st. We're going to talk about the timeline. We're going to talk about changes to the application. We're going to have a little special section on continuation grants and how that will work. And then we've got an example application that's a little bit different than what we've done in the past to give you a little more training and I think a little more insight on what constitutes a fundable application. Okay, Michelle, you want to comment on the timeline?
Sure. With the October 1st release, we have allowed for a few months to develop your application, and over the timeline we've inserted opportunities to, like in the past, to learn a little bit more about the application, what constitutes a model application, ask those clarifying questions. So you can see here that we'll be doing another series of applicant workshops. That's on October 26th, 29th, and November 1st. They will be across the state, and I'll show you the location shortly. The letter of intent to apply is due November 9th. So we ask that those planning to submit an application submit online that letter of intent. That's simply so the department knows how many readers are potentially going to be necessary. We've also developed that as kind of a student needs assessment for the state, so it allows us to collect some additional information about student needs across the state. So it serves a dual purpose. Then, following the letter of intent due date, we will be doing an applicant webinar, just another opportunity for you to ask clarifying questions or hammer out some additional ideas. And then this year, the most significant change is those applicants applying for a continuation grant. Those applications will be due November 30th, a week before the new grant due date. So new grants will be due December 5th.
Wonderful. And it's nice that applicants are going to have 60 days to work on their application. I think that this will probably serve us in the future as a standard for us as I want to be able to release applications in the fall and give you guys a couple of months to work on them, and then go ahead and start the following year.
Locations of the workshops haven't changed from last year. We'll be in Council Bluffs on the 26th at Green Hills AEA. All of the workshops are 10 to noon. West Des Moines at the West Des Moines Learning Resource Center on October 29th. And then in Cedar Rapids on November 1st at Grantwood AEA.
Okay. They're talking about the pre-grant workshop.
Again, if you're using the telephone, please mute your line. You can use *6, or if you have a mute button, thank you. And this is just a little additional information on the locations, but all of this information is available along with the RFA on Monday.
Okay, let's talk about some of the changes. For those of you that have been with the 21st Century Program for a while, you know we used to have a 120-page application. I looked at that and I says, oh my gosh, this has to change. So phase 1 was what we could do right away, and we've still been having meetings about what other changes we needed to make in the application. Some of them are to put us in a better spot with federal compliance. Some of them are, to make your job a little easier, and some of them are to better serve the needs of students. The first change is the federal compliance one. As a state, one of the things they want us to do is spread the money around a little bit. And in the past, we've had a lot of large awards And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's a little better for us as a state in terms of federal compliance if we have more awards. So we're reducing the maximum awards, and so this will have more awards around a shorter range. The minimum is 50,000, and the maximum will be 300,000 per application. Another significant change is the program implementation. We're going to align the start of your grant so that everything you do will be counted in PPICS. PPICS starts with summer school, so that's when we want you to start with your programs. And you'll have plenty of time to plan your summer school, get your people hired, get your curriculum in order. So this again puts us in a better place with federal compliance. Continuation grants. Applicants that are ending their 5-year grant are eligible to apply for a 5-year continuation grant at 50% of the funding within this competition. You're required to document how you're going to continue to sustain the programming along with meeting the other application requirements. And after 2015, we will have come full circle and we'll be doing a different kind of continuation grant. Right now we're honoring those existing contracts that you had from several years ago. And we've got 2 submission periods. Existing grantees who want a continuation grant, you'll submit your applications 1 week before the grantees. Now, the reason we're doing this is so that we can label everything you put in as continuation, and in the system we want this clear that it's a continuation, because we've had some issues where people that were doing a continuation after year 3 they got a cut, and I don't want that to happen. So internally, by having those applications come in separately, we can do what we need to do at the DE to make sure that down the road you won't get your funding reduced. And then all grant applications will be reviewed at the same time, because we're doing the same application and the guidance is the same. Okay, another change is a clarification. Adult literacy partnerships. Many of the community colleges in Iowa offer free adult literacy and GED preparation, and we're encouraging grantees to partner with their regional colleges to support your adult literacy needs. The 21st Century Grant is not a GED program. If you were to read the federal guidance, there's some language in there, but you have to understand that that language is for all 50 states. And if you were in rural Montana on an Indian reservation, you might have to do a GED program because it's 50 miles or 100 miles even to the local community college. So you have to make adjustments for a state. And in Iowa, we have a strong community college program, and they get federal funding to allow them to offer these classes, and they will be happy to partner with you. And I think that's going to help us to have a better program and also to do more things with the needs of kids, since you won't have the burden of having to do 2 different kinds of programs.
Mm-hmm. I think a clarification here is that the intent of the family programming, the family literacy component of 21st Century, is to serve the adult family members of the children in your program. So really this is about the partnership would be more about access rather than actual provision of services.
Yes, good point. And we've got some more details in Appendix G. We've got a list of all those community colleges. So I think that's good that we're pointing out to you a major partnership right from the beginning that you can use in your grant at no cost. Here's a little map. This is off the department website. If you go to the department website in the community colleges section, each one of those regions is a clickable link. We also have a document with all those links to the different colleges around the state. And you can contact those local people, and they'll be happy to work with you. Okay, in-kind administrative costs. Grantees who provide administrative in-kind are strongly encouraged. And our example kind of shows you how it can be done from a district. Supplement and not supplant. We've got additional emphasis within the application that we hope will guide you, because that's one of the big no-nos in a federal application. Evidence of supplanting can render the best application unfundable. We've included a non-public consultation form. It's going to help you to meet the federal compliance requirements that you consult with your non-public school in your area. Now, if you don't have one in your area, you just indicate that there's not one in your area. But our non-publics are great partners. Dubuque was pretty much served by the non-public. Sister Inez there did a great job with doing partnerships, and I know that a lot of our bigger districts just naturally have one or two of the non-public schools included. But like I said, we had to have that language in the state application, and including that form is just a good idea. Student needs assessment template. We did have that on the last one, but I think we made a few changes to it to help you to get the information that is going to make your application more fundable. We're going to offer some training for grant readers. We want to improve their documentation and scrutiny of the grants that they read. And we've added a budget section to the rubric. And also, too, we wanted to share with you, there's a professional development website from the U.S. Department of Education, U for Youth. It's kind of a new site, but that's a nice resource if you've got staff and they need some training in some of these programs. It's at no cost to you.
And I don't believe it's limited just to 21st century. It was developed for it, but...
Some additional changes. We added some clarification about grant termination. Grants are subject to the availability of federal funds, of course. You never know what can happen in Washington, so I mean, we could find out in January that our program got the axe. I hope that never happens, but you never know what can transpire. So it's always subject to our availability of the funds, and then grants can be terminated with a 10-day notice, and Appendix D contains all that legal language about notification and termination. Just wanted to make that clear. Lastly, electronic copy of your application. We're going to request that. Most of you are using a word processor, hopefully. You're not using a typewriter anymore. And if you're doing that in Word, that helps us because having that electronic copy means that we can then provide that. If in the wintertime we get a blizzard, we can do a grant reading like a webinar if we have everything electronic. So that's one of the reasons. It's giving us a backup. Okay, and then the continuation grants, the eligible previous grantees, you can't apply for a continuation grant unless you were already receiving a grant. So you have to continue your original level of service to the original number of students served in the 5th and final year of your grant. And that's language that's always been in there. That was not something we changed, although we did come up with a nice procedure to honor the original agreements. And these continuations are only for grants funded before fiscal year 2012, and you'll have a peer review, and the program grantees that have successfully completed their grant period of 5 years are eligible to submit a continuation application. And I expect to see a couple of continuation applications, which is good. Grantees must provide evidence of achievement of goals in order to be considered competitive. Consideration will be given to an equitable geographic distribution of the grant funds. This is language that was in the original application. So, and again, that as a state, they want us to have grants all over the state, not just, for example, they don't want us just to fund things in Des Moines. They want us to fund it in the eastern part of the state, the western part of the state, all over the state. And we're going to, try to do that, but we have to also make sure that we're funding the best applications first.
Just a reminder, if you're using the telephone audio, you might want to mute your line. Thank you.
Okay. Well, this is just a slide that kind of is a prompt for us to do something else.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and do the second one where it says colleges. Okay, this is the document that you'll be able to download after our webinar. Go ahead and scroll down. This is Appendix G, and it has the map from the department website, and also it has the links. Can you make that just a little bit bigger?
Yep.
A little bit bigger still. That way we can kind of read. All right, now you can see some of these colleges that are around the state. And I also included at the very bottom a link to libraries as potential partners for literacy. A lot of the libraries have adult literacy programs that you could partner with them. And I think that this understanding is going to make it easier for you to focus on kids and work with partners to provide some of the other parameters that we need to do. Okay. And here's a look at Appendix F, the continuation. Well, this is the consultation form for non-publics. Go ahead and scroll down. This is just a nice meeting log for you to provide documentation that you met with your non-public districts, and some of them may meet with you and decide that they don't want to participate because they don't have enough kids and they've got extracurricular things going on, and that's okay. And some of them will partner with you. So it's a local situation. As a state, we only need to make sure that we tell you the federal guidance and that we're providing you with a means to have documentation.
This is provided in Word format, so it can be edited easily.
Yes. Okay, now let's take a look at that example application. There we go. What we did different than last year, all we did was put all the applications up. And, you know, just reading through, I didn't think was enough for you to glean an understanding of what makes that a good application. So I took one of the applications that got a really high score, and I put some of my notes in at the bottom of each page. Some of them will show you the tie-in with the Elementary Secondary Education Act, and it'll even give you some citations, and there might be some comments that I've made that you can use, you know, when you're doing your own application. I think it's a good way for you to see, oh, that's what it looks like. Now, on the other hand, don't copy and paste everything that you see because, oh, they had a good one. It's going to be different in your town, in your school, because the needs of your kids may be different. But this is just a good example that I think you can learn from. Go ahead and scroll down a little bit. You can see down at the bottom of these pages, you know, I've got some notes in there for every section of the grant. And so page by page, you can dissect a previously funded grant and get some good understanding of key points that we thought were exemplary. And you know, teachers do this all the time. They'll have an example of student work and they'll point out the good things that they see as an example to the class. And that's a good model, I think. And we've been doing it with our best practice webinars as well.
This will be available with the RFA.
Yes, we're going to put it on the website.
Should we see if there are questions at this time?
Sure. Let's go ahead and stop the recording so that, well, wait a minute. Before we do, let's go back to the main slide, the update one. You can always call me, but now if you were to call that number right now, I am not there. I am here at the Alliance. You could call Michelle's number and ask to talk to me. But that's good contact information, and if I don't know the answer immediately, it might take me a day or two to find out, but I will respond to you.